The Impossible Thing in a Week challenge is a crazy idea I came up with to simply do something seemingly impossible in a week. That's it. I feel a lot of the time people have dreams and ambitions that they're too scared to start. They find ways to procrastinate, practice without ever actually producing a final product, or just find excuses for, because they're too scared to give this thing that secretly, or even not so secretly, means so much to them a go. My hope is by showing people that this scary big thing that they may even see as impossible with an infinite deadline is potentially possible with a crazy 1-week deadline, they can too give it a go. My challenge for this week was to learn viola from scratch and put together a full 1-hour concert. Having never played a bowed string instrument or read music in the alto clef before, I was setting myself up for quite a challenge. Not only this, but I decided to get myself a 5-string viola when the typical viola has 4 strings, so it was almost like I was going to learn a combination of 2 instruments, viola and violin. I've always wanted to learn viola. It's been on my bucket list since I discovered the instrument at around 8 years old. After getting advice prior to kicking off, I had 1 lesson with a professional instructor before the start of the week. I'm lucky enough to have 4 amazing experts, including my instructor, contribute to this video with tips and advice for both me and you, if you dream of taking on a string instrument yourself.
I began playing the viola when I was 10 years old, back in the year 2000. In the United States, it's fairly common for public school systems to have some sort of ensemble music program. As a kid, I really didn't have much initiative or much get up and go or whatever you want to call it. So I was lucky that a lot of opportunities came to me because I probably wouldn't have sought them out otherwise.
I started playing the violin when I was 7, and this is my 17 years playing the violin this year.
I really love playing the bass. I love keeping the pace and having those deep, just warm notes that resonate the undertone of the orchestra.
It's often said that in terms of sound quality, the viola comes closest among the instruments to mimicking the human voice. And I certainly think that's a reason why so many people end up loving the sound. From the low range, the viola sounds brooding and intense. In the middle register, it sounds just light, delicate, lyrical, sweet. And then when you go up into the stratosphere, it gets this urgent kind of declamatory sense that you might not always get automatically off of a violin.
I'm able to play my favorite songs on the violin because the violin allows melodic parts. I feel like the violin also has a ton of versatility. You can play fast, slow, high-pitched, low-pitched songs without very noticeable issues. For example, I love listening to pop songs, and because of me being able to play the violin, I can perform covers here on Twitch, which is really cool.
It is about 5:45 a.m. day 1 of the Impossible Challenge, and I'm feeling somewhat tired. I didn't sleep very well because I'm very nervous. So I'm nervous, but I'm also very excited. I think today's going to be quite challenging, but it's something I've always wanted to do, so it's still very exciting. My goal for today is to take what I've learned with my lesson, the 1 lesson I had prior to the challenge, and really practice in that technique. My teacher essentially told me that everything feels very unnatural until muscle memory kicks in. My actual goal in terms of tasks is to hopefully practice the vibrato exercises that she gave me multiple times. It's not actually vibrato, it's just exercises leading up to vibrato. And also to get through the essential elements books. There's 3 for viola and 3 for violin, so I know that's pretty ambitious, but they seem relatively simple. And to start on the Suzuki books. I only realised when I started putting together the footage for this documentary that I forgot to save the first day of the viola lessons, that this is the only clip I have for better or worse from day 1, probably for better, to be honest.
Warming up our elbows and our shoulder sockets. Now we're going to move down to our elbow joints.
It is day 1 and it is the end of the day. It's actually finished a lot earlier than I thought it would. It's now 9 p.m. So nowhere near as late as I thought I would go. and I have achieved nowhere near as much as I thought I would achieve. In fact, I haven't even finished one of the Essential Elements books. Turns out they're harder than I thought they would be. On top of that, something I didn't expect is pain. Massive amounts of pain on my shoulder and even in my wrist. And it's not stabbing pain, it's soreness, because I'm not actually holding myself in the wrong way, and I'm lucky because I had some stream players drop by my Twitch stream to make sure to correct me when I'm doing things wrong. But I'm just not used to holding a stringed instrument. And my viola is the biggest viola you can get of that variety. It's 16.5 inches, and it's also got electronics built in. It's actually quite heavy. And at first I didn't think it was that heavy, but lifting it up and putting it there all day, like, I didn't lift it with my shoulder, but just having it on there was very heavy. They started being sore midway through the day. Like, I think I only practiced like 5 hours and it was super sore. And I was taking breaks every 15 minutes. It was 15 minutes practice, 5-minute break, 15 minutes practice, 5-minute break. And even still, my shoulders were sore at that point. I'm a bit disappointed because I guess I had higher expectations of myself that I'd get further. And I was nervous about not picking things up quickly enough, and that's completely changed. Like, I'm not picking things up as quickly as I thought that maybe I could, but I am more nervous about the physical side of things. The soreness and the pain is more worrying to me, because that's something I can't contend with, and I don't want to push to the extreme, because then I'll injure myself or I'll cause some sort of permanent damage, or essentially just some extended long-term damage. That's even bad. Like, I mean, it's not a good idea, right? If tomorrow I have to stop at 1 p.m, then I will, because I don't want to end up injured from this. I'm really hoping I don't wake up super sore in the morning, because I'm sore now, but I'm hoping it'll heal overnight rather than me waking up and being even more sore in the morning. Fingers crossed.
If you're choosing between a violin, viola, cello, and double bass, I would recommend to first go to YouTube and search every single instrument you're interested in, and hear out the differences.
If you can, bring somebody with you or find somebody who is already good at one or more stringed instruments. A lot of people are tempted to choose by feel. In other words, they'll sit down, they'll have somebody walk them through the steps of making a sound on an instrument and do whichever feels the easiest. But I want to caution you about that, because there's going to be a little bit of awkwardness in the early stage no matter what. And I would try and choose based on the sound that you like. You know, based on what you want to hear, because if you're learning the instrument, you're committing to hearing that sound an awful lot.
A lot of schools will let you try every instrument from every group. They'll let you try all the instruments in orchestra, they'll let you try all the instruments in band, and they'll test your voice out in chorus to see if it's something that you're interested in. If you have that opportunity, give it a shot.
Violin will naturally be a bit easier on people with smaller hands because the intervals are a lot smaller, there's less stretching. Viola, if you have naturally larger hands and long fingers, viola's great, because you might find that the intervals fall a lot easier for you on the fingerboard compared to a violin, which might feel a lot more squished with your fingers. With cello as well, it's quite suited to people with long fingers too, and you know, bigger hands than those who play the violin. But I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think people with my sized hands, small hands, can still cope quite nicely with cello. And then double bass, I find mostly guys who have big hands who play the double bass, but I don't want that to be a deterrent. I have lots of little girls in my string classes who play double bass too, who absolutely love it.
It is about 6 o'clock in the morning, day 2, and I didn't get a full night's sleep. It wasn't as restful as I'd hoped. I'm still sore, which is a bit worrying, because I woke up and I was like, okay, it didn't get worse, so that's a good thing actually. But I can still feel it. There's definitely still exhaustion in my wrists, and this area is still sore. Like if I'm lifting up my arm, I can still feel my shoulder and there's pain in it. I've got a heat pack, so I'll use that. If it's getting super painful, I actually have no idea what I'm gonna do. Well, things are still sounding pretty scratchy and not always in tune, and I'd rather finish book 1 sounding nice than just, tick it off. I'm nervous. I'm more nervous now than I was the first day because of the physical stuff. It's not like it's in my control, but hopefully I can still get through the day, and I don't know, my body adapts. If you move your finger like even a millimeter away from the exact spot it's meant to be, which is already pretty unclear, then it sounds out of tune. Obviously, I am not hitting the exact spot it's meant to be pretty much ever. Ugh. It is 9 p.m. day 2, and I've just finished for the day again a bit earlier, and I again will be hopping into a hot bath and then covering my shoulder and my arm and my wrist in deep heat. By geez, the sleep actually really did help, like a lot. Muscle memory like sunk in, and my playing sounded worlds better. The pain is still there. It doesn't feel like it's worse than yesterday. It feels pretty much the same. But I've been taking a special care, and I've been noticing things that hurt and trying to reduce the amount that I do them, unless I have to do them because it's part of what goes into playing the viola. Now, I'm about halfway through book 2 of Essential Elements, and I also wrote out a song and learnt it, the raid song for my stream. And I think that's going to be included in the concert. I'm struggling to get the bow straight because I can't see what I look like. I don't have a mirror. I wish I had a mirror so I could see. So that's the one thing that I'm really not happy about. Tomorrow my plans are to start doing some vibrato exercises that actually involve me playing vibrato on the viola, start organizing what I want to do at the concert, and keep working through the Essential Elements books.
It is very important when you start learning that you find a teacher to guide you the very basic techniques, such as bowing and finger placement, because these two things are very important. Bad habits can form, and it's very difficult to correct when you're older.
In terms of what music you learn, there is kind of a script. We've got a template that's worked pretty well for a few centuries to churn out top caliber professionals, and so it's really not a good idea to mess with that. There's a reason that it starts with exercises that don't even sound like music. You're learning the mechanics of the instrument. From there's a reason that the method books always start with children's tunes that bore some people away right off the bat. And that reason is children's playground tunes use a limited vocal range, thus they use a limited note range, meaning that you can learn songs with fewer notes.
When you're starting to learn an instrument, no matter what kind of instrument it is, it's important to understand that you are not going to be the best once you start. You're going to sound like you're murdering a small animal. Everybody does.
It is 5:45 a.m., day 3, and I actually woke up with kind of throbbing pains in my shoulder at 5 a.m., so not long ago. I think I must have accidentally slept in a bad position, so it's a bit more painful this morning than it was yesterday morning. So physically I'm a bit nervous about that, though I think it's already starting to feel a bit better because of the deep heat, and once I've had a shower, done some warm-ups and stretches, hopefully I'll be okay. I'm planning to start practicing vibrato in the form of exercises where I'm actually playing on the viola. I'm planning to start preparing the concert, So that will actually give me some rest time as well, because I'll do a lot of that on paper and I might start notating pieces. I do have to take it easy, especially because physically I am feeling more pain this morning, but I'm pretty excited. The bow needs to stop slipping around so much. Alright, I'm gonna try it without the clicky thing. Me time. We need to break it up, so we have a violin diss track, a cello diss track, and then the double bass diss track is going to be called Yo Passing Wind and Not Even Wind Instrument. So keeping it gangster the whole time. So you got to keep it gangster because it's a violation. Most gangster thing to happen to classical music since last Thursday. It's about 10 p.m. day 3 and I'm all done for the day. Almost halfway now, it's crazy. I started working on vibrato. I'm not phenomenal, that's for sure, but it's actually somewhat going. Kind of. I put together the basic music for 6 of the songs I want to do in my Violation concert. My plan is to do 13 songs in total because 13 is my favorite number. Not too difficult. I would rather have them perfect than to choose really difficult pieces and not get them 100% right. In terms of the book, I didn't progress too much further. I think I'm 2/3 of the way through now. I might finish the book tomorrow, I might not. I've kind of, I guess, shifted my focus to the concert because that's now coming up. I've now got a mirror in the room because my bow strokes have been problematic since day 1. And I never addressed it because I couldn't see the bow. And now that I can see the bow, I can see it's very bad. Overall, physically, I'm feeling pretty much the same I did at the end of every other day. Very fatigued. My shoulder has kind of gotten used to being in pain, I guess. Mostly my body is just fatigued, my brain is fuzz. I mean, I got up at 5:30 and I've been doing non-stop streaming on Twitch since about 6:45 a.m. and it's now 10 p.m. so that's like 14 hours. Very, very long time. And although I'm taking breaks, obviously constantly to stretch and whatnot, I'm still kind of on, if that makes sense, because I'm on Twitch. I can't just mindlessly stare into space or lie down or anything. I still have to be present and addressing the people in the stream. So I haven't really properly stopped all day.
Practicing, if something gets hard, don't just give up.
Don't be afraid of repetition. Everything that you're going to do learning an instrument is much more like a free throw than like doing addition. Yes, when you go into the music, you're going to have different contexts to apply it in, but ultimately you're trying to train your muscles to make the exact same motion the exact same way so that becomes brainless. Then your brain becomes devoted to making the music.
Having more of a structure to your playing, so not just like getting a piece and then running through it 1,000 times because it's not a very productive way of practicing, but maybe starting with open bows to really open up your sound, and then adding in scales, like long bows for your scales, maybe some faster scales, like doubling each note, tripling each note, doing dotted patterns, whatever you're working on with your teacher or on your own, and then working on maybe an exercise or a study, and then going through your pieces. And in your pieces itself, not just playing from start to end, but always making sure that you're focusing on little passages here and there, especially the bits that you really don't feel comfortable with. So sitting with that discomfort, going over it, breaking it down until you feel like you can bring it up to the speed and the standard of everything else in your piece.
I found that the songs that I've worked the hardest to learn or to perfect or had the most fun learning were songs that I enjoyed in real life. Like the Harry Potter theme, for instance.
It is 5:50 a.m. in the morning, and I wish I was asleep. I woke up, the alarm went off, and I was like, please, no. Please be a false alarm. I want to sleep. My plans for today have not changed from last night. I'm gonna try and put together the rest of the repertoire for the concert today and practice vibrato and long bows. I've been watching some videos on vibrato. There's probably 100 things I'm doing wrong, so I'm gonna try to fix them today. I'll play the viola while I say viola, la la la, but then I'll stop playing while I say alto clef, viola, la la la. So that way, then I just speak a little bit, and yeah. The viola version of Lindsay Sterling. If Lindsay Sterling was a gangster! I am going to mark this as done. So now, we only have 5. And there was 5, only 5. It is almost 10 p.m. day 4, and I have just wrapped up the stream for the day and my practice for the day, and things are going, it was a roller coaster of a day, but I think things are overall going well. I finished putting together all the music I need for the concert, so everything's written out. Pretty much none of the songs are good enough to perform at this point, which is why I've left almost half the week to perfect the songs. So the first 2 days were to do general learning, next 2 days I put together the songs, and the next 2 days I'm going to try and practice the songs to perfection, and then the last day I'm going to do show runs, essentially. But it was a bit of a roller coaster of a day because I almost had a complete emotional meltdown around 3-4 p.m. I don't think I've been drinking enough water, so I think my brain was very fuzzy, but it just started feeling like it was all too much and everything was blurring and the notes were all blurring and I didn't know what note was what, and everything just sounded screechy and it didn't feel like it was ever going to work, and I was just like, ah! There's this thing in my hand that I keep moving around, so if you can hear something, it's this. It's a heat pack, it's like a hand warmer. I don't know what it's made from, it's got like some powder in there that heats up. It's powered by oxygen, and I've been using it on my shoulder, like that, and on my wrist, just in between sessions. I don't know if it helps or not, but it feels nice, and that matters.
I had the immense privilege of being hired to play with the Kalamazoo Symphony viola section in 2011 when Yo-Yo Ma came to town. It's crazy. You would think, well, Sean / MIDIBusker, you were on a stage with 8 or 9 other professional cellists. I mean, they're professional cellists. The sound is the sound, right? It's good sound. After a while, it must get old. Oh my goodness, no. I had never realized before the extent to which the megastars can just transcend just with every ounce of their being. He walked on stage from the dress rehearsal and I could not take my eyes off this man. It's like every move he made, every word he spoke, and then every time the bow moved, it just put us in a different place. I nearly forgot to come in a couple times with the accompaniment part just because it was so riveting.
I think it started off with, I believe violin 3. And I worked my way up, and my teacher ended up giving me most of the solo parts throughout my later years. So I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So basically, at the end, I did get to violin 1, and I played all the solo parts that was given to me, and I felt like it's really cool to have like the attention focused on me when every other player is silent. It's not something that I've experienced before before learning the violin, so it was a really cool experience.
we had all started with different instruments. We had the cello, the violinist, the violist, and we're all learning this new thing together. Nobody had a one-up on anybody, because we were all technically 4 years behind on learning this instrument. And we kind of just had this nice little niche group that went on. We came up with this thing we call the bass salute, which is you put your index finger on your eyebrow, your middle finger on your nose, your ring finger at the top of your lips, and your pinky about the middle of your chin. And that's how you end up with your spread for bass players. And we would do that before we would play to kind of figure out how far we needed to stretch our hands. And I don't know why, but I really enjoyed that. We had a lot of inside jokes coming together as a section.
It's the morning of day number 5, and waking up is so hard. So hard to do because everything hurts. I'm really enjoying the violation. I'm enjoying learning viola. But everything hurts. Yesterday I had stomach issues on top of the shoulder pain and the wrist pain. Today I woke up and the right wrist was hurting, which makes no sense because it wasn't hurting last night, so I think I must have slept on it in a weird way. And every time there's any sort of ache or pain, it's just like an instant, oh no, I'm going to be using that muscle all day and it's only going to get worse. It's really tough when you're lying in bed and you're like, I'm a cripple. I don't want to get up. But I'll stretch it out and hopefully I'll be alright. Yes, I've got to prepare breakfast and get ready to take my crippled self back into the stream room and do another productive day of learning the viola. Violation, yeah, violation. I'm going to play through the songs and mark out difficult parts. So the first one is Can Your Shoulder Handle This? And that is Eye of the Tiger, essentially. Pitch, rather hear 'em straight. No fart sounds, but will they catch a break? I'm Nasa, the center of the stage, in front of the shiny sticks, who screech into their ears like dicks. This is the I don't remember this bit, the words are hard. Today was painful. It was more painful than the other days, and I've ended more sore than the other days. But I'm starting to feel a bit better about the concert that's coming up. I've kind of memorized all the musical parts to the pieces, which honestly is contributing a lot to me feeling a lot calmer, because it was a kind of like underlying panic that I was having, and worry that it's just going to be a massive failure and embarrassing and a waste of time and very painful and all the things that you don't want it to be. I've pretty much abandoned the vibrato exercises, and that's because I've decided I'm not going to use vibrato in the concert. I've actually not chosen pieces that are very conducive to vibrato. Things are going well, but I'm in a lot of pain. I'm going to go have a bath now.
When you hit a roadblock, not if, when. What I've found has been the biggest tool for me is to sort of think of my practice time literally through a camera lens. And what's one great function that cameras have that I'm really not sure how to use on mine, otherwise this video would look a lot better? Zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, that really didn't do much because I don't know how to use this thing. A lot of musical struggle has to deal with zooming in too far on a small detail when your problem is a big picture, broad brush thing, or trying to look at big picture overarching shapes when there's a lot of details getting missed.
Try and remember that it's okay to feel frustrated. It's not you, it's not just you, it's very normal to a lot of people. make sure you know that learning an instrument takes time and practice.
It is 5:50 a.m. in the morning, day 6. It's still so hard to get out of bed. I go to bed and this side of my body is like in serious pain. So I can't sleep on that side of my body. So I sleep on this side of my body, and then I wake up, and because I slept on this side of my body, now this side of my body's in pain. Now both sides of my body are in pain. It's kind of like, oh man. Today is going to be a very important day as far as preparing for the concert goes. Today's going to be a very important day. I need to make sure that the music for the pieces is memorized and I can play it very confidently, and I don't have to think too hard to be able to play it. It can just come out. Like when I want to play a piece, I can think I need to play this piece and then I can just play it. The only thing in the way is that I am more sore this morning than the other days, which means I think I have to take it easier today than the other days if I want to end the day without being injured. I repeat, when the real Slim Shady, please stand up. We're gonna have a problem here. What should I do after that? We're gonna have a problem here. Who's Slim Shady? Who the real Shady? All them other Slim Shadys be just imitating. All the Slim Shady, please stand up. Wait, did someone mention cheesecake? Because that changes everything. I don't know, I've got mixed thoughts and feelings. I've got a heat pad on my shoulder. I'm actually feeling a bit better now than I expected to be, especially waking up this morning crazy sore. But still sore, so don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm healed. I'm at least as bad as I was in the morning, but I'm better than I thought I'd be. I was really worried I'd be in super bad shape at this point. By the end of the stream, I did a full show run, including all the loops and everything. Not everything was perfect, but it was passable. Like if that was my concert, I would not be thrilled, but I'd be like, it's possible, it's okay. So I'm hoping that muscle memory and memory in just general sinks in overnight as I sleep. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing show runs all day, so kind of what I did tonight, except just all day. Hopefully I'll get at least 4 in. I'm going to aim for 4 show runs. The show runs take a little while, but I have to recover from them once I finish them. So say if a show run takes about 40 minutes, then I have to recover for at least 20 afterwards. And so yeah, it'll take a bit of time. And tomorrow my viola teacher is meeting with me. So I'm going to have a viola lesson, and that's going to take up the afternoon, evening time. I just got to make sure I plan some secret things that people who've been watching my stream this whole time won't expect for the concert, because obviously I'm doing the show run, I'm including patter, but I want to make sure there's some secret things for the concert that they'll get that they didn't expect as well.
The best ways to make sure you don't get injured or too sore from practicing or playing an instrument are to make sure that you know your limits. Yes, practice is really important, but your health is more important.
When you exercise, you do certain things to prepare and recover. You stretch before and after, you hydrate before and after, you monitor yourself. It's the same with playing an instrument. Being aware in advance can help. So with string instruments, as opposed to other kinds, tendinitis and carpal tunnel are the big risks. Awareness alone, though, isn't going to make sure you don't get injured. You have to actually change some of how you act to make sure that you don't get injured. One key distinction you need is the difference between discomfort and pain. discomfort when the muscles feel like they're being worked and they're maybe not in their natural relaxed state, versus pain where there's actually some kind of sort of burning or tearing or, something sharp and acute that you feel. Pain is never normal, all right? And it's not just about magnitude. Like, really the only way to describe it is to have felt pain before, but there's a big difference between when things are uncomfortable and when they're actually painful. And so when you feel pain, stop immediately.
Get into the habit of sitting with your back as straight as possible. It's going to be awkward and painful at first because most people don't sit up straight. It's gonna open up more range of motion in your shoulders, in your elbows, whereas slouching, it's more effort.
It is 5:45 a.m., day 7. It's really cold. Getting up is continuously getting more and more difficult. Obviously, because I'm in pain. I've mentioned this enough that it's gotten boring. It's going to be, hopefully, a little bit more of a relaxed day today. I don't want to push too hard today because obviously I've got the main concert tomorrow. Essentially, I'm hoping that by this point, the songs are muscle memory. They were pretty much there last night, so I'm hoping that the fact I've slept on it means that this morning they'll be muscle memory. And today I'm just going to run through the show, and that means getting down the basic patter for the show, the order of the show run. Although I'm going to have a set list in front of me, it's still good to get the flow of the show going, practicing making the loops, practicing the performance aspects, and just running through the pieces a few more times to make sure that they're properly solid, because running through the show will make the show more real and less of this like imaginary thing that just feels so distant and impossible. Hopefully shoulder pain is regressing. It's still pretty freaking bad, so I am so excited about eventually in a few days waking up and not feeling pain down the entire side of my body. Oh, that's going to be thrilling. Oh, can't wait for that. I'm just going to change the lights and start the timer. Obviously, I won't be starting a timer on the actual day. I might start actually with a blackout. So there's no lights. Total blackout to start with. It's called The Wizard of the Viola. Oh, because that's right, nothing is more magical than the viola. What is this? It is now 6:30 p.m. and it's going to be a very early day to finish on the last day of this Impossible Thing in a Week challenge, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing the final concert. I want to make sure that I've had a proper amount of rest and relaxation and given myself every chance I possibly can to wake up tomorrow not sore or significantly less sore than I have other days, because I think I'm going to perform a lot better if I do that. Today I did a whole bunch of run-throughs of the show. I have not had a single run-through where things didn't go wrong. So that's always scary, but at the same time I feel like I can work my way around things, and because of the style of show that I've gone for, I can just end up having fun with it and move on. After all, this whole thing really is fun, right? It's me getting to learn an instrument I've always wanted to learn and sharing with the world the joy of that process. So There's pain, but there's also joy. Today I ended up having another lesson with my viola teacher as well, so I'll cut in a few snippets of her thoughts of my progress, so you can see that as well.
I'm really impressed that she's managed to maintain a lot of the things that I told her about, keeping her shoulders nice and relaxed and dropped when she's playing, making sure her wrist doesn't come up because that's really bad form, and a lot of the things we talked about with her bones. So that's really, really great. And even the sound, you know, when people start learning a string instrument, they don't really realize that the first year is so tough in terms of what it sounds like. It's really hard to create a great sound, whereas when you're playing a piano or a guitar or something else, you don't have to worry so much about the quality of the note that you're making. Whereas on a string instrument, there are so many elements like the bow pressure, the bow speed, where exactly your bow is placed, how much pressure your finger is making on the string itself. All of those combined affect the sound quality. So it's great that in such a short amount of time, Meri has been able to create a pretty decent sound. We've talked about things that she can do to improve that sound going forward. I think it was a really tough challenge to take on. And I think Meri was saying as well, like, she didn't realize how physically demanding it would be to play an instrument like the viola, and I think that's correct. It's one of those instruments that's very physically taxing, so I'm amazed that she hasn't pulled any muscles this week, and that it was such a success, and especially stuff like vibrato. So we spent some time in our very first lesson talking about vibrato, and I didn't honestly know if she would be able to get any vibrato going at all, because it's a much more advanced technique.
One thing to remember about learning a string instrument: it's hard. Bowed string instruments are hard. Now, every instrument is, and the oboists and the clarinetists and the trumpeters in the room are going, well, what makes you think you're so high and mighty and on a higher level than us? And we're not. But there is a unique challenge that bowed string instruments face that I think is not surpassed in any other instrument domain. So I just want to say, be forgiving with yourself, be patient with yourself, and it's inevitable that everybody who learns a bowed string instrument is going to make some awful stomach-churning sounds at some point. Keep playing anyway.
It will not sound good in your first few months. It really takes time to sound better. I don't think I've heard of a lot of people that I know of that sound good in their first month of playing a string instrument, because that simply it's not normal. So it's okay if you don't sound great. Make sure to know that practice makes perfect, and make sure to give a lot of patience towards it, and most importantly, enjoy your time learning and playing the instrument, because that is the most important thing, and it's key to your happiness.
Don't expect it to be easy, because it's not. It looks easy, but learning a new thing is always going to be difficult. And just don't pick it up and not be immediately successful at it and then just throw it away. It's something that you'll remember your whole life. It'll open up avenues that you didn't know that you had. When you can't express yourself with words, you can always express yourself in music.
It is the morning after the Impossible Challenge week, the morning of the final concert. So I gave myself yesterday night to relax and hope that I would wake up without soreness. I'm still definitely sore. I tossed and turned a lot of the night because I'm pretty nervous about the show. I had really weird dreams about like not being able to tell what time it is, like waking up and not knowing what time it is. Like all the clocks and watches show different times, so I didn't know what time it was and whether I had like 1 hour until the show or like 5 hours until the show, or whether I'd already missed the show, and it was just like a really weird dream and it felt very real, so that was strange. I don't have a huge amount of time this morning before the show. It's already 6 a.m. and the show's at 9 a.m. once I've gotten dressed and ready and everything, it'll probably be about 7. That's prior to putting on makeup and the costume. I think once I've done the makeup and costume, it'll probably be about 8. So I probably won't have time to do a full show run, but I'll hopefully try and run through the music for the show. So just the songs, just the song parts on viola, and get into the right headspace for the show. It's hopefully going to be fun. Hopefully people are going to enjoy it, and it's something that'll be a good memory of the week. Hopefully it can inspire some other people. If I can create a crazy weird concert like this in a week, they could potentially do even much better. So it's worth trying and giving it a go.
I've actually uploaded the full Viola concert to YouTube and Twitch, so if you want to check out the final concert, you can. I'll put a link in the description or somewhere hopefully that is locatable.
It is now after the final Viola concert. It is all done. I am still in the outfit, though a bit more bedraggled. Looking back, it's not half bad. And I mean, when I hear those out of tune notes, or like, you know, me giving up towards the end of the piece, or something being played out of time, or I don't know, I can kind of laugh at it and just see it as, you know, the start of progress. Did I learn viola in a week? I addressed this. You can't really learn an instrument ever. I mean, you can live your entire life and you'll always find out more and more. You're always in a process of learning. You've never finished. Like, you can live a million lifetimes and you'll still find new magical things about instruments and about music and things to create. So, in that sense, I don't know whether that challenge was ever possible. I guess it really was an impossible challenge, huh? But yeah, overall, I feel like in the end I won the challenge. In the end, I put on a concert, I did my best, the whole time I put my all into it, and I feel like the final result was something pretty special, even if some of it sounded like a suffering animal.
It's now been some time since the Viola week and concert. Looking back, it was a hell of a journey, and I definitely went through a lot, but I'm so glad I started down the path. That funny moustachey looking instrument has already given me so many stories, memories, and experiences. If you're thinking of giving it a go, my advice would be, do it. Also, while on the topic of things to do, please also show love and support to the incredible string players who helped make this video as useful and inspiring as it was. Give them a follow, check out their work, trust me, you'll be inspired even more. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, I would love for you to hit down that subscribe button and also the bell notification button so you can be notified in future when I put up videos. Also, I'd love to do a massive shout out for everyone who is a part of Ninja Club. Your support and encouragement is absolutely invaluable. Thank you so very much. If you're a fan of what I do, I encourage you to check out Ninja Club. There is a link at the top of the description box, and have a wonderful rest of your day. You rock all the Lego blocks.